In preparation of watching Bates Motel Season 3, I thought I would go ahead and finish up Bates Motel Season 2, which I started to watch on television when it was aired back last year, and I watched till like halfway through the season and then stopped watching it for some reason. But Netflix released Season 2 on Netflix. But anyways, but I finished watching them, and I wanted to review the channel for you guys if you guys are wondering what happened in Season 2 and if you guys are curious about Season 3. This also will have some spoilers about Season 1 and what happens in the beginning of Season 2. So just be warned that there are some spoilers. At the end of Season 1, Miss Watson was murdered, and this was like the cliffhanger for Season 2. We're all thinking that Norman Bates did it with his blackouts. And so he is dealing with the death of Miss Watson, not knowing anything about it, not knowing who did it, not knowing that he was possibly the one that did it, because he has these blackouts. And so there's also some multiple storylines going on in Season 2. We get an introduction of new characters. And this season, I just felt like it dragged on a little bit. There are 10 episodes that run about 45 minutes long. But there's these multiple storylines that kind of just drag on, that go throughout the whole entire season, that I felt they could have cut it down. I understand dragging out storylines to fit the runtime and the amount of episodes you have to air, but the way that they go about it is just dragged on. Storyline of Norman and Norma and the relationship and its developing, that's the only one I really care about. I think that this is really developing really well. He's getting these blackouts, not knowing what he's doing, but Norma is also becoming more clingy to the point where she doesn't go on dates with men, and she wants to be at home with Norman, and she doesn't like him going on dates with girls. And so this is all developing to the point where it's just going to break and something bad is going to happen. So I like seeing their interactions and them fighting and loving each other and back and forth throughout the whole entire season. It's really well done, and they're both really great actors. Freddie Highmore knocks out of the park as Norman Bates. He's very creepy at times, but being socially awkward. You do get the introduction of Norma Bates' brother and that situation. He's not there for very long, but he does provide some background to the family, which is great. But then you get this also storyline of Norma Bates' other son, I always forget, is Dylan. I always forget his name, but Dylan and his job that he does with the weed plant, and Zane. That's where my issue runs, is that this didn't really feel anything special, and it just dragged on from like the third episode all the way up to the very last episode of Season 2, and they just could have cut it down really quick. And they were just finding new ways to keep this storyline going by introducing new characters that played into the storyline that needed to continue this storyline. I just didn't really feel like this storyline added much to the whole, and just was rather boring and just dragged out. You also get the storyline of Norman and his new girlfriend of sorts. This girl that is hanging out with Cody, and how she affects him, and how it also affects the relationship with the mother. I like that. Introducing new girls in there, you know, affects the relationship between his mother and him, and how it will crack at the end. Overall, I thought Season 2 was decent. It had its moments with Norman and Norma. I liked them a lot. I like seeing them develop. But also there was time where storylines did drag on to the point where I felt like they could have cut it out quickly in halfway through the season and added something different. And so that is one of my main issues. Also, the cliffhanger to Season 3 that leads into Season 3 is kind of like the cliffhanger that leads into Season 2. It's dealing with the same situation, and so I feel like they just couldn't come up with anything special, so they just used the same thing. The show is still shot very beautifully. I like how it's sometimes very dark, and then I like the location setting a lot for the town and the motel. So for this season, I'm going to go ahead and give this season a B. This is Justin Watches Movies with his review of Bates Motel Season 2 in preparation of Bates Motel Season 3 that comes out in March. This is Justin Watches Movies, and I'll see y'all later.